Jay Motter here for Stretford, Paddock. Manchester United 3, Burnley 1. This is the live review. Joining me, as always, is my good friend and colleague, Joe Smith. This is a live video, as I've just said, so do hit that like button. Let's have 1,000 likes before the end of this video. We've finally broken the Old Trafford Premier League Burnley curse.
Was it 6 years since we beat them at home?
Something like that.
Something ridiculous.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, and it took a while, didn't it? We've had a few of these performances this season. The immediate one that stands out is, I mean, obviously Tottenham had a similar feel to it, didn't it, last week? But the other one was, do you remember Newcastle away? I think it was 4-1 or 5-1 or something in the end. But it was 1-1 until like the 85th minute.
Yeah, well, you're right. When I think Marcus Bruno and someone else scored.
Yeah,
late on.
It took a while, and that's the one good thing that this
Wan-Bissaka, that was
Wan-Bissaka. There's no doubting now that this team has that resilience, that kind of keep going, right till the very end. And the fact that we're doing as well as we are, I mean, proves that. But it was good to see it again today against a team that in the past we've been put in these situations with them. We've been put in a kind of, you've got to turn it on now or you're going to drop points. And in the past, we have dropped points. It's good to see where we've come in the last 12 months. Obviously, the last time we played Burnley at home was the 2-0, wasn't it, I believe?
I think as the watershed moment for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and this team. That was when you were there, we were all there, and the fan cams were as bad and angry as I've seen any fan cams. People, and understandably, just had enough. Felt a lot of anger was towards the Glazers, to be fair. A lot of it wasn't towards Ole, but it was like, this is it. We're not going to get top four. This team's not going anywhere. This manager's probably out of his depth. These owners don't care. We signed Bruno Fernandes. One or two players came back from injury, of course, and went on this amazing run last season. We got 66 points last season. This season, today, right now, with 6 games to go, how many points do you think we've got?
66.
You're spot on, my friend. Yes, we've got 66 points. Get involved in the comments. Like I said earlier, it's a live video. Let us know what you think about this performance. Some people are saying it in the chat, and I've already seen it on Twitter. 21 and all that. Any slight hope that United can win the league? I don't, but you may have.
I mean, I don't believe you.
Well, you don't think I think we can win the league?
I think that in terms of slight hope, do you honestly think that 8 points in 6 games is impossible?
With this Manchester City team, I don't see it happening.
Right.
And the thing is, right, people say about 8 points in April when United threw away the league in 2012, which I get, but the big difference there was we had to play them. That's what did it. If it had just been we had 6 games and one of them wasn't against City, they wouldn't have caught us. They only caught us because that was a 6-pointer. Yeah. Now, if we had to play City, then you could say, okay, we beat them, we knock it out 3 points. 5 points. And then it's interesting. I just don't see I don't think there's 6 teams in this league, and I've not even looked at who City you've got, but I don't think they're going to drop enough points for us to catch them. And that's not me being negative. I'm being honest.
I agree. I don't think they will drop enough points for us to catch them. But I do hold a tiny amount of hope.
There's always that thing with football, is that like hoping against hope. Do you know what I mean? I mean, every season, I thought we were going to win the Champions League. You always have that, do the treble again. You always have that sort of hope. It's hope rather than any form of expectation. Do get involved, though. You might be less negative than me and negative Nelly over there.
I'm not negative. You're the negative one.
All right, I'm the negative Nelly. He's the positive Pete. You might think we're going to win the league and the Europa League, which would be the greatest season United have ever had. Yeah,
and Carl Hagan in the Super Chat says, could the newfound partnership between Cavani and Mason, along with their goals as of late, be enough to convince Cavani to stay?
Yeah, maybe look at Mason and go, I'll be the master, you be the apprentice. We're forming this sort of relationship. It's all working out well. Let's do this. I just want an instance Cavani to be able to play in front of fans. I think he'd feel the love if he was able to play in front of Manchester United fans. He's just not obviously been able to do that, and it'll be a crying shame if he never gets to do that. We'll start with them two then, because obviously they're the goal scorers, and they both played very well. Edinson Cavani coming on, getting the 3rd goal. Mason Greenwood, who has been a little bit under the cost this season in terms of his productivity, hasn't got as many goals, but has been playing really well. What did you make of? I'll start with Mason. What did you make of his performance today?
Yeah, brilliant. And I think we should give a shout out to Rashford as well, who I think for most of the time he was on was United's best player. The work he did in the build-up for Mason's first goal was sensational. Quite a few times going into the box, getting past his man. Something he struggled with in recent weeks is pushing toward the corner of the box and then taking it into the box. He gets blocked on the edge, or he tries taking a touch, it goes out for a goal kick, or he just sort of gets stifled in and around the edge of the 18-yard box. He was much more penetrative today, and he actually got through the men multiple times. Obviously, essentially setting up Mason Greenwood for the first goal. which was very important. Disappointing to concede the goal we did. I'm sure we'll come on to that in a bit. But then that second goal from Mason Greenwood reminded me a little bit of Marcus's goal against Wolves. You know, it's kind of like he's not really in a position to hit this, but we're kind of getting to the point where we just need some shots on goal here.
Yeah.
So he hits it from basically the corner of the 18-yard box. Huge deflection, much like the one against Wolves from Marcus as well. And it ends up in the back of the net. And then from there, Burnley, basically had to come out and push us, and we managed to counter-attack in a very composed way. I thought composure was the key thing to that third goal, the decider, where you've got Mason who finds the pass to Bruno. Bruno, he doesn't shoot, he finds the pass to Van der Beek. Van der Beek doesn't shoot, he finds the pass to Cavani. 3 times in a row where we kind of went, that was good there. We didn't rush, we didn't flap, we didn't flounder, we just did the right thing. And it's good that we've got players in this team that can do that because, without particularly trying to slander anyone, imagine, Marcus Rashford had gone off at that point. So imagine this team last season, that ball is going from Dan James to Andreas Pereira to Jesse Lingard to Igalo, potentially.
Yeah.
Do you think there's a chance that in that chain there, one of them is going to not get the pass right or not have the composure?
And also, Jesse Lingard of last season isn't the Jesse Lingard of this season.
It's Jesse Lingard with no confidence whatsoever. And again, it's not meant to be a particular knock on those players.
I get where you're coming from. Look at what those players were doing for Manchester United. You want to go back to the Burnley game. I know Igalo wasn't there at the time, but it was the likes of around that era, around that spell we were having, not necessarily that game in particular, but Pereira wasn't performing, Lingard wasn't performing. You can probably throw in Matic had been okay, but it just wasn't. It just wasn't happening. Do you know what I mean? Even the likes of Martial and Rashford were very erratic in their performances. Pogba, of course, was injured, and it wasn't a happy camp at Manchester United, and it's a far happier one now. And obviously, you can see in the way we're playing, and the belief is there. How many times this season? No, we didn't go behind today. But we conceded a goal and we rally and we go again and we get the goal we needed. We keep doing it. You always have this sense of belief with Manchester United that we can get that goal we need. We can get those 3 points. And now, as I've said earlier, we're on 66 points with 6 games to go. We could end up with a very good points tally and a trophy. Lots of ifs and buts, of course. It's a long way to the end of the season, but who knows? Regardless of that, though, so far it's been a very good season for Manchester United. Not going to Solskjaer.
It has. Ivan Chung with the super chat says, if it was Marcus and not Mason, he would have turned left to right and the chance would be gone. Don't get me wrong, Rashford is great, but he needed to take it. I think that's just a testament to having Mason on the right side, though, isn't it?
And also, I think there's 2 things there. I thought Rashford had a good game today. I really did. I thought
too.
he was I was surprised when he got took off, but Ollie got it right because the proof is there. We won the game. Mason Greenwood was probably the best finisher at the club. I know that might sound silly with Henderson Cavani in the team, but I actually think he is.
It's not just you saying that. Is it? It's people who play around him.
Exactly. So if you don't believe what I say, listen to his actual teammates. And like you say, it's the right side for him as well. So there's all those sort of combining factors why it was better that it fell to Mason, and he took his goals well. And he's having a good season now. He is. He's been playing well for the last few months. Had a bit of a patchy start at the beginning of it. We know he was having some. Do you know what? I don't even like to call them off-field issues because some of them aren't issues. He lost his friend. That's not an issue.
That's just life.
Yeah,
he
was
that's
dealing
not
with
a problem. I mean, it is, but it's not like he's done something wrong.
No, he hasn't. He was having to deal with that as a teenager, losing a friend, which I've never had to deal with. Most people probably haven't, but he has. He's dealt with it, and he's playing as well as he's played for Manchester United, and long may it continue, which I expect it to. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer gets stick when he gets it wrong. We just mentioned there about the substitution. I was like, why is he taking Marcus off? He's just having so much joy down that left. Donny comes on, involved. Can't really criticise that. And also, earlier on, was it Cavani for Fred as well? Cavani gets the goal that seals the game.
Assisted by Donny van der Beek.
Yeah,
people like to... just a quick one of this, because I just
go on,
think
mate. Don't take as long as you want. Don't have to quick.
I just think that people like to point out mistakes that people make. So like today, Maguire made a mistake for their goal, and he does make a mistake for their goal. He gets beaten in the air by Tarkowski. Henderson, he makes a mistake for that goal. Well, it's difficult to blame him necessarily.
Let's get to the Henderson in a minute, because it was a rather interesting performance.
It was an interesting
right
performance.
Even to the aesthetics of it.
Yeah. But like, you're blaming Ole for when he doesn't make a sub that you think would have worked, but he didn't make it, so you can't prove that it would have worked. But like today, he made the subs. They finished off the game for United. Cavani was linking up the play brilliantly. He looked really good in there, looked dangerous, always looked like scoring, and eventually did score. Donny van der Beek, the same, obviously didn't score, but assisted the goal for Cavani. It's like, let's give some credit then, or let's just assume that sometimes the manager's going to make a sub that they don't directly score, and sometimes they will. But he's done that today, and he's got to get credit for that. And the same thing with Maguire, like. people are quick to jump on the mistake. Well, of course, you jump on the mistake, but then, for the other 10 out of the last 11 games when he hasn't really made many mistakes, people aren't quite so quick to say, you know what, he's been brilliant recently.
No.
But Maguire wasn't great today, and he made a mistake that led to the goal. So you got to criticise him for that. But try and have a bit of, understanding that one mistake every however often, like people do, like every footballer does, doesn't make you a shit player, and only focusing on mistake will only make you enjoy watching football less. As much as anything else, it doesn't help you watching football. You don't like it anymore. Another mistake. Like Rashford today, he gave the ball away half a dozen times. Some of the things he did was sensational today.
That little trick he did when I think
the little flip flap through the players.
That's why you watch football, for things like that. It's enjoyable to see that. There was some great skill there, and but people will hone in, like you say, on the times he gave it away, or his finish wasn't great, or when he played it across, it was cut out, or whatever. But there was some sublime tricks from Marcus Rashford, and as I said earlier, I thought it was a really good performance from him. I thought it wasn't a great performance by Manchester United, but there were one or two standouts that got us over the line. Dean Henderson, interesting performance. Started off very interesting with a disallowed goal where after, was it 14 seconds? I think he came running out, and Chris Wood
20 yards out, or whatever it was, 18 yards out.
Then in the second half, he had another incident, also wearing a hat that he seems to have just got from the mega store, which just added to the sort of the oddness of the afternoon for him. He's been pretty reliable, very reliable over the last few weeks, but today was a very erratic game where maybe one or two people, I know I was watching, I had to watch along on, obviously, Adam McCullough was saying, this is what you lot, as he often does, need to look out for.
Yeah, but McCullough today admitted himself he doesn't like English goalkeepers, whatever that means. So he's
a word for that,
have a worry.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I just don't like the English.
Yeah,
what?
no, it's good. I think he looks at the way that people treat people from England for English clubs being spoken about like they're the best thing in the world too quickly, I think is his point.
Yeah, not that he genuinely doesn't like English players or English goalkeepers, I should say.
But yeah, it was a weird performance from Henderson and not his best. And again, I think we just need a bigger sample size at the minute, because when you're trying to analyse whether a player is improving on the last player or whether he's made, it's not just, for me, it's not just being a bit better than De Gea. You need to be one of the best in the world, I would say. That's the aim here, isn't it? It's not just to not make loads of mistakes, it's to do a lot of good things as well. So when you're judging about whether a player is good enough for the role and whether they've improved on the last player that was doing that role, you have to have a decent sample size, and I think we're getting there. But today wasn't one of his best games.
No.
But you have to add up. Does this mistake or that mistake, or occasionally a goalkeeper that is known for coming out of his box, clearing his lines, winning the ball off people's heads, punching the ball away, getting in those difficult situations, occasionally he's going to get that wrong. And the same with the player that likes to play the ball from his feet. You're going to pass the ball around, you want to take risks because that's what it is. Occasionally you're going to get that wrong, you're going to give the ball away, it's going to lead to a goal. So I think we need to look at the overall of Dean Henderson and think, do the mistakes that he's bound to make because of his play style. Like, there's a reason De Gea doesn't like playing it out with his feet. There's a reason De Gea doesn't like coming out to the penalty spot to win the ball. It's because it's risky, and sometimes it goes wrong, and then you look bad when it goes wrong. So let me just stay on my line and I'll save everything. And if it goes in the 6-yard box, that's my defenders to worry about. It's a very sort of a riskless way of being a goalkeeper. So sometimes that works well. But when you want someone to be on the front foot and to cut things out before they happen, you need someone like Dean Henderson who takes risks, and occasionally he's going to get it wrong. But we need to see over 20, 30, 40 games whether those risks are worth the benefits, and I think so far they are.
Yeah, I can see a lot of people in the comments. Gary Neville apparently has had a bit of a rant. We can see what he's been saying. Apparently he's talking about stripping titles or stuff with the old Super League stuff. Now, you three had a chat about that, didn't you? Join the watch-along. Yourself, Stephen Howson, Adam McCullough. There's a video going up shortly where the lads will be giving you their opinion on the Super League.
Full details of exactly what it is as well.
Yeah, what it is. Listen, I've only sort of glanced over the statements. All these statements have been flying around, and I don't think anyone cares what I think about it, but I just think it's not going to happen. I think it's a daft idea, personally, and it just seems like, yet again, the fans are getting thrown under a bus. But if you want a bit more in-depth sort of discussion about that, Joe, Macca, and Stephen Howson have done so. So that video will be going up on the channel shortly, so you can get your teeth stuck into that one. We've got a quote from Mason Greenwood, I believe. Joe, if you want to read that out for us.
I will do. He says, I keep focused. I knew my goals would come and kept my head down, and I've taken my opportunities. He's really stepped up in the last month or so, hasn't he? I think it was 3 goals in his last 3 and then 4 in his last 3, I guess, after the second goal. He's really stepped it up from what was looking like a progressive season or a progression season in terms of getting appearances under his belt and winning more games for the team, but not necessarily doing it individually. it's now turning into a season like we were hoping for some other players, where he is stepping up in big games. He is winning us big matches at big times, and he's doing that. So, Mason Greenwood, I'm really happy for him, but I'm happy that we've got a player in that position that can win us games, and we can rely on to do that consistently again.
It's annoying as well, because with me and you were talking about this the other night, and it's like someone like Henderson, Cavani, even Marcus Rashford or whoever. It's weird for them playing with no fans, but they've got so much experience. Even Marcus, who's is only young, but he's been in the first team for 5 years, whatever it is. Where with Mason Greenwood, it must be so strange, because you get into the Manchester United team, you start getting some games, the fans are all loving you, absolutely adoring you, because you come through the academy and you're scoring goals, and then there's no fans. And he's at the point now where, for the majority of his professional career, he's been playing in an empty stadium. So it must be really strange for him to having to cope with that as a teenager, and just having no fans there, because he'd be feeling the love, wouldn't he?
Yeah.
You saw it when he burst into the team. United fans absolutely love him, and rightly so. Getting behind him, his name's ringing out constantly. One of those players as well that seems to thrive off that, and he's had a lot to deal with, but he is banging him in. And like Cavani and like everyone, all of them, to be honest with you, I can't wait to get back into the ground and really get behind him. Just watching the replay of the third goal there, Bruno Fernandes. We was watching that upstairs, me and Andy Tate. Baggers was there, and it was like a bit of a discussion going on about his game. Not quite at the races today, and maybe it's not been his sort of best spell in a red shirt, if I'm allowed to be somewhat critical of one of my favourite players.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, he's not quite that same goals and assists per game thing as he was, a couple of months ago, but again, he's involved in so many of the goals. You look at the build-up of the goals, he's involved in almost all of them. Like he played the pass out to Cavani, which started the third goal. He then passes it back to Van der Beek, which basically completes that third goal. Like he's always doing doing the right thing in those areas. Obviously, he makes mistakes and he gives the ball away, which he's bound to do. But I think that he's still absolutely instrumental in us winning games and us being creative and us counter-attacking quickly. I think he's still great at that. And there's some of the interplay between him and Pogba today, and Pogba will play it to him, and then he'll spray it out wide to Van der Beek or to Wan-Bissaka, and vice versa. I think he's not been getting quite the amount of goals and assists, but if he hadn't set those standards so high, I think we'd be sat here going, another good game from Bruno today, but he doesn't quite have the numbers to back it up, but I think he's been good still.
How important do you think it is, Joe, to keep this momentum going? Because we're in a bit of a good run. Since the Leicester game, I think have we won every game since then?
I think it's 5 wins in a row in the league for the first time in about 2 years.
We saw Arsenal, if anyone cares, draw today. They're still in the Europa League, of course. Do you feel like we can just keep going? It could be a bit of a clean sweep this season in terms of the games we've got left. And I know we've got the Scousers, we've got some tough games coming up. But do you feel like we could go all the way this season and just win the rest of those games?
Yeah, I think we
could.
Of
a run going.
It'd be nice to be able to put that together again, because we've not done a real. We've had these sort of unbeaten runs that have been good, and obviously the away we've not lost at home away from home all season, which is excellent. But yeah, it'd be nice to be able to stick sort of 10 wins or 8 or 9 wins in a row together, not just non-draw or non-losses. Let's get 15 points from 5 games. Let's get 21 points from 7 games, etc. Let's really sort of bang the wins in a row, and pull away from these teams. And we've done that to a certain extent. Like you see the table there, we're 10 points ahead of Leicester. I think they're yet to play, aren't they? But it's nice that we can be in this position where we are pretty comfortable in second now. I would say we're all but safe in terms of top 4. But yeah, it'd be really good to see that next step of, can we win 8, 10 games in a row to finish out a season? And hopefully, whether it be 5 or 3 or 2 or 1 or 0 points behind Man City, push them as far as we can. Because what's another thing to remember is, yes, obviously they can't win the treble now, which is great news to every Manchester United fan watching. I'm sure we all had a little cheer when Chelsea beat them yesterday.
I'm glad you've said that as well. Forget the quadruples nonsense. I don't care about that.
Yeah,
it's the treble.
Yeah,
they can win the League Cup, the Champions League, and the league, but that's not the treble. The treble
it's a treble. Yeah, but it's not the treble.
Exactly. The Scousers did that in the 80s. It's not the treble at all.
No. But obviously they can't win that now, which is great. But if we're putting pressure on them so that they have to field full-strength teams in every single Premier League game between now and the end of the season, that might affect them against PSG. That might affect them in a potential Champions League final if their players are that bit more tired, or they've had to change formations and systems a little bit more, and they've not. If they can rest 5 of their team mates five of their team because they're 8 points clear with 2 games to go. well then, they can do that. But if we push them and it goes to 5 and it goes to 2 or 3, then they're going to have to play a full-strength team every time. And I'd rather they only won the league than winning the league and the Champions League and the League Cup.
Yeah.
So I know it's a bit of a petty thing, like stopping rivals winning things, but let's keep it as tight as we can, because it's not just about winning the league. Let's try and fucking stop City winning the Champions League as well.
You make a great point, because I think it was in 2013 we had it where we were sort of walking the league, but City sort of kept it in it slightly where it wasn't. And I think we drew with Chelsea at home in the FA Cup. I remember we had Sunderland, and then we went to Stamford Bridge. And for the Sunderland game, Fergie didn't rest anyone. I remember he played Michael Carrick, and Michael Carrick was, I think, like the wrong side of 30. He couldn't play sort of 3 games in 8 days or whatever it was. So for the Chelsea game, the replay, we weren't as strong. I think Carrick was dropped for that, or rested, I should say, and we ended up getting knocked out of the FA Cup.
Yeah.
Because you could have argued, all right, actually Fergie was being a little bit overcautious, but I think 2012 had obviously got to him and didn't want to take any chances. But the point is, if we're pushing City, like you just said there, you have to rest players perhaps, or you can't rest players, sorry.
Yeah.
And that's what happened with us in 2013. That team should have perhaps done the double or done a bit more than we did in Europe, but the European thing was another story. Lots of people mentioning the Gary Neville rant. It's been quite popular. I've not got the full details, but part of it was, which I quite like, was he's spoken on Sky after the game about this Super League idea, and he's not happy about it. He's being very vociferous about it. And he says the owners of all these clubs are imposters. They have nothing to do with football in this country. They're bottle merchants. You never hear from the owner of these clubs. They have no voice. I mean, I don't care about the other clubs. I do care about Manchester United.
Yeah.
And he makes a very good point, because the Glazers, I've heard him talking about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers only because I Googled it.
Seen him lifting the fucking Super Bowl trophy about 2 months ago.
They don't talk to the press here, do they? I mean, Woodward rarely does, and he's the fucking voice of the owners. Yeah, and he's not done it. When's the last time he did I know he sat down with Andy Mitten 2 years ago. When's the last time he actually did a video or we've invited him onto this channel, and Howson asked him many years ago, and he said he would. McCullough asked him outside, I think it was outside Craven Cottage, or might have been Palace actually, a couple of years ago, and he said he would, but he's not took us up on our invite. So Gary Neville makes the point that these owners who you never hear from, who don't have much of a voice, who don't speak openly, have come up with this idea that, it just seems a little bit distasteful, doesn't it, that we're having this sort of massive upheaval potentially of owners who don't really care about us and never speak to us.
Well, the thing is, like, the dream scenario for me is you have owners who have enough, if the club can't be owned by the fans, if the club can't be, if we have to be owned by billionaires, which it seems to be the case. I mean, obviously we're at a point now where that is the case. Then in theory, the ideal scenario is that they are silent. They do stay out of the way. They just, they don't take money out. They have the club as hopefully for something that they want to do well, and they back it financially, and they back it, and they occasionally come out and speak. But I don't mind having silent owners. But when they then take, hundreds of millions, if not billions of pounds out of the club over a decade, when they then become vice chairman of a new Super League that basically disregards the complete opinions and wants and desires of every football fan that I've spoken to, that I've seen, that I haven't seen anyone other than these sort of half a dozen owners want this to happen.
Yeah.
No one in football wants this to happen. So you can't have it where you just sit back and you kind of do your own thing, and then United are losing and, it's not our fault, we stay out of it. And then you use the sort of the financial and the economic and the global appeal of Manchester United to make yourself more money again. Like, fuck off. Fair enough if you stay out of it and, let the club run as a club, fine. But then you don't get to do this where you just disregard what anyone who's anything to do with football would want for the sake of making yourself a guaranteed 350 million euros, and then I'm sure countless more millions in the 10 years to come. It's absolutely disgusting, and it is just it's the bottom of the barrel in terms of what football is, because the whole point of football is you win games and you see yourself progress, and you dream about progressing and moving up, and you dream about playing in the Champions League and the Premier League and these sorts of things. And if that's just taken away for the sake of the money for what is, it's not like the fans make money. It's not like the surrounding area makes money or the country makes money. It's just half a dozen blokes get to make even more money than the billions they already had. It couldn't be any worse, to be honest.
No, I agree with that. And just had producer Cam telling me that Ollie said he got the news about the Super League today. What, like, minutes before everyone else?
The person who in theory is the face and the person who decides what happens to Manchester United, the manager of Manchester United, he found out today when we did he?
I mean,
just fucking disgraceful.
One thing as well, and someone mentioned it in the comments, and we were the first English club to go into the Champions League, into the European Cup. Matt Busby, Chelsea won this league before us in 55. They didn't go in it. Matt Busby in 56 said, we're going in it. And the FA said, no, you're not. And he said, well, I am.
Yeah.
He was a pioneer. He believed in the European Cup. We've got that affiliation with it, the first English club to ever win it. There's a connection there with Manchester United. I know other clubs have won it more than us, but if you look at Manchester United in the European Cup, there is something special about us. And, without getting too melodramatic, there's certain sacrifices this club has made playing in that competition that no one can ever else even imagine. So it does seem very distasteful for me. Again, these lads have spoken about it a lot more than I have, and they go really into it. So have a look at that video that's coming up. Before we wrap up, I do want to talk about a couple of other things. Paul Pogba, a couple of people mentioned him in the comments. Really good bit of form from Paul Pogba. And he's doing that thing, right, for me, and you'll know more about this than I do, so correct me if I'm wrong, but I always liked Paul Pogba. When he was at Juventus, he could have spells where he wasn't doing a lot, and then he'd pop up with that killer pass, that thing. Because he wasn't always the star of the show, it was, there'd be other players around him that would probably was more sort of productive or whatever. But when he did do things, it made a difference. And it feels like now with him, he's like, it's not always about Paul Pogba, but when he's on the ball, he's doing a lot of good stuff. So like today, you might argue he's not man of the match. I don't know who was man of the match and it was given to. But for me, it felt like he was very important part of what the good things that Manchester United did today.
Yeah, I think he's in a system, in a position now where he can basically be excellent every week without having to be the best player in the world every week, which was what essentially the assumption was of him. Was you cost 89 million quid, you're the Premier League record signing, you have to be the best player in the Premier League every single week, or every Monday Night Football, every tweet on Twitter, every press conference is filled with people asking or declaring that you've been a mistake, that you have underperformed, underachieved, you haven't dragged what was a mediocre Manchester United side to titles, and therefore you're a failure. It must be great for him to have Bruno, to have Rashford, who is, I would say, in that category that is a whisker below world class. For Rashford, I think Bruno is world class, and maybe Rashford is as well. It must be great, and even Luke Shaw, who's one of the best left backs in England now, and you've got Cavani, who's been one of the best strikers and the biggest names in the world for the last decade. It must be great for Paul Pogba to be surrounded by those players, because he's not the only one that has to do well now. He's not the only one that it's up to you to win us the game. It's up to you to win us the league, and if you don't, you're a failure. Yeah, it must be great for him, and I think that's showing in his performances, and it's a shame that the only real thing that's let him down this season is injuries, and not necessarily of his own making. I think coronavirus hit him pretty hard at the start of the season. First sort of 6 to 8 games, he wasn't at his best, and I think Ollie and he spoke about the effect that COVID had on him slightly longer term than he was expecting. But, between November and January, whenever it was, or February when he got injured, sensational. Again, he's come back from injury, hit the ground running brilliantly. He's been sensational again. And we're not all talking about Paul Pogba after this game, because we also had Mason Greenwood, who was brilliant. We had Rashford, who was brilliant. We had Bruno, who put in another Bruno performance. We had Luke Shaw, who again I thought was very good.
Yeah, Luke Shaw was good.
It just must be a massive weight off his mind. Like, I can just go in, be excellent, and if I'm not world-class, best player in the world on any given game, I've got 4 more people who will make up the difference, and I won't get blamed for it.
There's a super chat there, Joe, if you'd like to read that out for us.
Yes, this is so sad, Alexa played Despacito. Tampa Bay have managed to keep all their starters from the Super Bowl, re-signed 6 players, spending loads on them, but sucking out the life out of us. Well, also, when we talk about Tampa Bay, they've been fucking shit for forever. So let's not talk like they've made them this incredible team.
Some people watching might be like me. I don't know anything about NFL, right? So Tampa Bay, this is the club that the Glazers own.
Yes.
And just tell us a little bit like what you're on about.
So they won the Super Bowl this year.
Right.
With Tom Brady, obviously, you heard of him.
Yeah, I'm not completely stupid.
But it's not like the Glazers have made them this great team for years.
Yeah.
They've been shit until this season.
Right.
Like, they got Brady and they went from being shit to being the best.
He's like their Bruno. He just made a massive difference.
They got a few others as well, Gronkowski and a couple of other players. I mean, they've got a good team now.
Right.
But, it's not like they've been being really successful with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Like, Man United were the successful one.
Yeah.
And that is including us finishing 6th and 7th and 4th and all this stuff. We were better than the Tampa Bay Buccaneers were. Yeah. So it's not like we can go, well, look how well the Glazers have done with them. They've won 1 title ever, and they've been shit every other year. So, let's not be acting like the Glazers have been this great success at Tampa Bay. Yes, they've done well this season, but other than that, they were saying to Tampa Bay fans, don't worry, look how well we've done with Man United. You'll be like them soon. They've been shit. So let's not be too sort of excited about they do all these great things for Tampa Bay and throws under the bus. They've tried to throw them both under the bus. They just got a bit lucky that they gave Tom Brady a chance when no one else wanted to.
Yeah, I mean, everything the Glazers do whenever they speak up. I mean, they had a bit of good PR, didn't they, during the pandemic? I know I'm still in it, but during lockdown, where let's make the letters on Old Trafford say NHS. Yeah. Let's not furlough our staff. Let's put some money back into the community and stuff. Which, all right, these are admirable things, but the tap-ins.
And that's not the Glazers doing that. That's the Manchester United's PR team.
That's not Joe Glazer getting on the phone and saying to the groundsman, can you make NHS light up on the Manchester United sign, please?
No.
It's like you say, it's PR and them saying, listen, if you spend say £1 million, you're going to get so much good PR out of it that it's worth that sort of spending. So they've done that, and then everyone's going, well, maybe they are all right, because like you're saying, a lot of people are actually conflating those things with the owners, like, it's the owners, it's not. But they were getting a good bit of PR from that. And then they've just reverted back to type. Very underwhelming in the summer transfer market. Again, though, they're blaming the pandemic. But then you look, they're still taking the dividends. Now this idea comes up. This idea that everyone's against, and everyone pretty much, all the clubs, including the clubs that are in it and those that aren't the fans of it, are just disgusted by it. And it just thinks of the Glazers again. And I'm already getting bad vibes with them towards the transfer window in the summer. So, it just feels like another saga that the Glazers are causing for this football club. Can, with all that's being said, and the run we've had this season, and the fact we could end up with 84 points, I think, if my maths is right.
66 plus a potential 18, that would be 84.
So this is why I do homeschooling occasionally. Do you see, with these owners, with this manager, us winning this title? Not maybe this season, admittedly, but do you think it's possible? Or do you think we're just swimming against the tide with these owners?
I think it's possible.
Yeah.
I trust Ole to do what's right for Man United, and I think he's definitely improved us in the direction that is promising. And this team looks very good. We need a few more pieces, which is where you've got to ask whether the Glazers can do that. I mean, they'll probably come out and say the Super League has given us money to buy some players, and they'll spend 80 million quid on people in the summer and keep the rest. This whole Super League thing throws everything up in the air in terms of the future of Man United, the future of English football, the future of European football, because who knows, based on what the Premier League is saying, we might not even be in the fucking Premier League in 2 years' time if things do go to plan. So we've got to see what goes on with that. But let's assume structures are the way they are now for the next half a dozen years. I do think that we could do it under current ownership, less so, but current management, and we've got to get the right players in, and maybe we have to be a bit shrewd about it because we're not going to get the players that we should, but I think Ole and this team are moving in the right direction.
Sadiq Dutta says, can we compete in European Super League? Is it even going to happen? I don't know. I mean, you think we can compete in it? I don't know. It means, didn't say there's no French and German teams in it, which gives you a bit of an advantage anyway.
Yeah, and by the way, any updates and any info that comes out about that, we'll be bringing you videos about that. We've got the news in the morning, which will bring you everything we're up to at that point as well, and we'll keep you updated on what is going on with that Super League as well. So make sure you stick Stretford Paddock for that.
There's another super chat there if you want to read that.
And Abhishek says, the movement of Cavani, my God, get our right wing working, a midfielder like Zuma, and I feel we can really challenge on all fronts next season. I hope so.
How important do you think it is for us to keep Henderson Cavani? Because I'd had a bit of a doubt about him. A few weeks ago, me and you were talking on Transfers Live, and I was saying, it's not that he's not a good player, he is, but he's had all these injuries. Not all these injuries, sorry. He's had a bad spell out. I think he missed 9 out of 10 games. He looked disillusioned because of the ban that he got, which he obviously felt was unfair because it wasn't a deliberate act. There was the stories about him going to Boca Juniors in the summer. I think his dad had come out and said he's on his way. Ollie's spoken about the fact he's missing his family, which is understandable because obviously the brunt of his family isn't in England, so any human being is going to miss the family, especially when you're in such a high pressure job playing for football for Manchester United. But he does seem to be a good influence on Mason Greenwood. He is a different type of attacker. He is that sort of poacher, that sort of fox in the box, for want of a better expression, even though I hate that one, so forgive me, that we don't have. And basically, there's the thing that worries me about, you're talking about the Glazers, if he leaves, are we going to replace him with someone like, I don't know, a Josh King or someone like that who isn't as good as Henderson Cavani, but is just a cheaper option who's available?
Probably.
Yeah.
I think it'd be good to keep him, especially if the other options are, like you say, Josh King or... No,
that's just a name.
No offense to Igalo, but someone who
I mean, someone like that who Igalo hadn't scored in his last 17 Premier League games when we got him, and those were 2 years ago. While we all loved Odie and Igalo, he weren't going to help you win a title. No. Henderson Cavani, in theory, could.
Yeah, I'd like to keep hold of him. There are reports coming out of Uruguay that he's basically decided he's going to leave, and Ole's not doing much to sort of allay those fears at all by saying he'll make a decision in April. Well, you know, we need you for next season, and we really should have some transfer plans in our back pocket going into the window that start earlier than April.
Yeah.
So who knows what's going on that? Hopefully it could be someone like Haaland, but that seems unlikely to me.
No, it does. And I mean, you can look at it and go, well, okay, Mason Greenwood is getting better, and Mason Greenwood can become our number 9, and if we could just maybe bring in a winger, that solves that problem. But you need options up front. I know it's not like 1999 where we had 4 strikers and people go, like back in those days we had 4 strikers, but you had 2 strikers that started every game. Every game it was like 4-4-2, so that's why you had 4. Now it's obviously different. You usually have 1 out-and-out striker. Long term, maybe Mason Greenwood, but I still feel like we need another one in between that, whether that is Henderson, Cavani. I quite warm into the idea of that, because I am that sort of fickle guy who goes, oh, he's just scored, he scored quite a few goals lately, let's just keep him. There's another super chat, there's a couple there, I think you've got to read.
And Thathuko says, Americans and JP Morgan are running a coup on European football. Yeah. It does seem to be the American owners of Liverpool, the American owners of United, obviously Perez in Madrid, and JP Morgan, who are the people financing this, by the way, which is an American bank, I believe, giving, was it 1.6 billion or maybe even more than that, billions to help start this project. So it's just a chance for big rich Americans and their banker mates to make a fuckload of money at the expense of, 500 million people in Europe who don't want this to happen.
How many likes have we got, Cam? Can you hear me?
You can hear.
5, I mean, we've got nearly 3,000 people watching. We wanted 1,000 likes, didn't we?
Yeah.
And we've got like 500 odd, which is unacceptable. Come on, we'll just keep on for a little while longer. Yeah. So I want those 1,000 likes. Yeah. Can we get there? That's what I want to know. Joe's people asking what's JP Morgan got to do with things, but obviously you've spoken about that, the ownership of that. As I said earlier, we are going to have a video where you guys are going to discuss it. You go into quite a bit of detail about the Super League, because I know we've skimmed over it, but but you go into explain it all for everyone. So if anyone like myself is not au fait with what exactly it means and why this has come about, Joe, Adam McCullough, and Stephen Howson, I'm quite confident that well, I know you're passionate about it. I'm sure Adam McCullough and Stephen Howson have got 1 or 2 things to say about that issue.
Yeah, they're pretty vocal about it, yeah. We've got a couple of super chats
as
well.
Mate.
Miles Van Eaton, spend on Sancho, get Rice or Ndidi or Bissouma, re-sign Pogba and Cavani stays, and that's a successful summer, in my opinion. Yves Bissouma bandwagon is here, plenty of room. I don't know if I'm on that bandwagon just yet. I do
is this
think
the kid from Brighton?
Yeah, I do think he's good.
I was when we did the live on Friday. There was people in the comments were saying, Yves Bissouma could be the answer. Having a decent season at Brighton. The thing with Brighton is they're very misleading because they're actually a good team who just can't finish.
Yeah.
So you can look at them, go, oh, well, look at them. They're way down in the table. Why would you want to get anyone from Brighton? They're rubbish, but they're not. They actually play good football. They've got some very good players. They just can't finish the dinner, despite the fact they've got Danny Welbeck, who is officially the greatest striker in the history of association football.
That's true.
As long as you don't count goals.
Yeah. Arjun says, what do you guys think if Cavani leaves? We kind of mentioned that. Do you foresee Kane happening personally? No, I don't. Do you?
Do you know what saddens me about this, right, is that's the sort of transfer that United should be making. We should be going for someone like Harry Kane. Because Spurs are a big club and all the rest of it, but they're not as big as Manchester United. No. And when we wanted Dimitar Berbatov, we got him. Do you know what I mean? When we wanted Michael Carrick, we got him. I know Michael Carrick's a different type of player, but when we wanted big players, Van Persie from Arsenal, we got them. Do you know what I mean? We were able to make these deals. Rio from Leeds, Eric from Leeds. I know it's a different style, but you get what I'm saying. But now it's like, we'll never, we won't get Kane. We can't afford him. Well, we probably could if we didn't pump all our money into the owners or into this debt that's just never ending. And also, we should be able to go out there and get him. And that is a player who, if you really do want to win the Champions League and the Premier League, that's the type of player that you add him into this Manchester United team, and all of a sudden people go, wow. And all of a sudden, you look at it, you named a load of players we've got there: Bruno, Marcus, Mason, Pogba. You imagine throwing Harry Kane into that. When United were at the best, we had so many players the opposition had to worry about. We'll keep your eye on Rooney. Right, what about Ronaldo? Well, we'll keep your eye on him. Okay, it's Carlos Tevez as well. Well, don't forget Scholes can he can get a goal as well.
Carrick will cut through if no one else does.
Do you know what I mean? That was it. You had so many match winners where now it does feel a little bit like it's.
And then there's like Nani on the bench as well, who
he comes
on any given day could be the best player in the world.
Yeah, or the most frustrating player you've ever seen in your life. Yeah. Whereas now it does feel a very sort of centric towards Bruno. Bruno doesn't turn up. And Pogba's not playing, and it's Marcus or bust. You throw in someone like Harry Kane, all of a sudden, it gives you that different feeling. So I would love to see us going for Harry Kane. I don't think we're going for Erling Haaland. I think Erling Haaland is at about 400 million with his wage. No,
over,
I
know 5 years or whatever, 6 years.
His wage is about 40 million a year or something stupid, like 700 grand a week, 750 grand a week, plus 140, 30 million to sign him. All right, maybe it's a little bit less than 400 million, but it is a lot of money. Ain't gonna happen. Harry Kane probably happen, and we'll probably end up with, I don't know, Danny Ings on a free.
But we beat Burnley though, won't we?
We have beat Burnley.
Still in a chance. Still in a slight chance of putting pressure on City, if nothing else.
Right. How much of a chance? Right. If chances were concert venues.
Yeah.
Right. So for like a small chance, you'll go like Manchester Academy, Manchester Academy 3.
Yeah.
For a big chance, you'll go with like Glastonbury.
Yeah.
How much of a chance do you think we've got of winning title?
Royal Albert Hall.
I'll take that.
Yeah.
I'll take that.
Royal Albert Hall, mate.
There you go. So we've got a decent big chance of winning the Premier League this season. Let us know in the comments. Let us know whether you think Joe's right. Don't forget as well to check out that video that himself, Adam McCullough, and Stephen Housen have made talking about it's the hot topic. Even after an epic win over Burnley, everyone wants to talk about the European Super League or the big whatever. It's just the European Super League. We're one of the 12 teams that have gone for it and said we're gonna take part in it. The FA, UEFA, Premier League, everyone is saying no, you fucking not. And if you are, you ain't playing in our competitions anymore, which has thrown a spanner in the works.
If you want a shag her, the locks are getting changed at our house, I'll tell you that much. That's what the Premier League is saying. Hey, go and shag who you want. You ain't seeing your fucking kids again. The locks have changed when you get back home. All your shit's on the front garden. That's what the Premier League are doing, isn't it? Shag who you want, but you're never coming back in this fucking house.
Yeah, basically, yeah. And then you've got people like, Gary Neville, who's just been on this epic rant, stood on Sky Sports so that you have to pay for to watch, saying it's out of order.
Yeah, exactly.
Slightly ironic.
Oh, yeah, and they're also the company that makes, that sort of spent the most money on people tuning into the Premier League and the current status quo, is it? Let's read a couple of super chats.
Yeah, go on, there's no rush.
Smartphone
keep
says,
going.
What about Dominic Calvert-Lewin as an alternative to Cavani? Yeah, I think he'd be good. I just don't think he scores enough goals. He doesn't.
It's interesting with Calvert-Lewin because his chance conversion rate isn't that great. He gets a lot of chances, and I think I read somewhere it's like him and Patrick Bamford, who they get loads of chances and they run like 13, 14, 15 goals, whatever it is. So they scored a lot of goals, but they get a lot of chances. So it's just a case of be careful what you wish for. What I do like about Calvert-Lewin is he's a different type of player than what we've got. He's in that sort of ish Cavani role mould. So if Cavani went, I know he's not saying he's as good as Edison Cavani, but if Cavani left, you would have that similar type of player because Marcus, Martial, and Mason to a certain degree are very similar in the sense they like to drift out wide, work the channels. He's more of a...
They like to be on the ball as well.
Yeah, he's in that sort of, in and around that 60-yard box, getting his head on things, getting on the end of things. So he would be a good signing. Maybe as well, that is slightly more doable because you can, even under Carlo Ancelotti's revolution, you should still be able to get players.
What, that revolution where Everton finish in the exact same position they've finished every single season for the last 15 years?
Aren't they weird,
That revolution.
Yeah.
What? Revolution got all these great world-class players in. We're really good. Oh, we're good. Where he finished? 8th again. Right. Thought as much.
Aren't they weird, Everton, right? Because it's like, they have this sort of mini revival, don't they, where it's like, oh, well, Sam Allardyce was sick of his football. We're going to get Marco Silva in. Yeah. He plays football the right way. Going to see something different now. We're bringing Richarlison as well, Brazilian. It's going to be great. And then they finish lower than where they finished with Sam Allardyce. Yeah. And Silva gets sacked. So it's like, we'll bring in Roberto Martinez. We're sick of David Moyes and his football. Didn't have a choice in that. His ground of football is rubbish. Martinez plays football the right way. Nothing changes. And they spend quite a lot of money as well, don't they?
They always do it. They spend a lot of money, get a new manager, get a new system, get new players, finish 8th. Simple. Caddy Mo says Rashford should take a leaf out of Greenwood's book and just take a shot. Yeah, maybe he should. But he's got a lot of goals this season, so he's obviously shooting. Before we finish, there's quite a lot of sort of criticism, not a little bit of criticism, Marcus, today, because it's like he had a good game, but there's people saying take a shot. Mason would have got that goal. Marcus wouldn't have got the goal that Mason got. Are you buying that brand? Football.
Yeah, that's
the aim should be enjoy yourself. Have a hobby that you like watching. I thought Marcus Rashford was really good today. I don't think we need to sit and compare him to someone else would have scored that. Ronaldo would have scored that. Mason would have scored. I thought he played really well. He was crucial for the first goal. He came off, got a few minutes rest, allowed Van der Beek to come on, who was crucial for the third goal. I don't think we need to criticise.
What are we on here now? We're on 863.
Come on, let's get to 1,000 likes.
Can we do it? Can we get 1,000 likes on this video, right?
If we get 1,000 likes,
2,609.
We'll ring up Abraham Glazer and sort this.
Yeah, we will.
Shit
We'll
out.
Get his number right. we've got ways and means. Me and Joe, we're very what's the word? Intuitive, not intuitive.
Whatever.
Yeah, when you've got loads of initiative.
Yeah. Initiative.
Initiative, ingenious. With that, we'll get his number and we'll give him a ring and say, "Oi, pack it in." Because that's what everyone's talking about. Everyone's talking about this Super League when they should be talking about the fact that Manchester United, you say it's 5 wins on the spin, on for our best points tally could be post Fergie.
Yeah.
Because under Jose,
81.
which everyone loves to remind us about, it was 81 points. The season we finished 19 points behind Manchester City. Mm-hmm. We shouldn't finish that amount of points behind Manchester City this season. It should be a lot closer. Also, our best points tally. I mean, how can you not look at that then and go, that is progress under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer? Do you think there is any case to be made that we haven't made progress? Or do you think it's just some people who, and I get you want the best for Manchester United, I understand that sentiment, I want the best for Manchester United, but do you think there is a sort of school of thought with the Ole outers or the people that don't like him that maybe they planted their flag early and are just sticking to it? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think there's some people now that unless we win a league title, and maybe even then, they're going to stick by the...
Can you imagine that?
Yeah, I've seen people say that.
What?
Just because Ole wins the league doesn't mean he's right for Man United. I've seen people make with that opinion.
That doesn't make any sense. No. Like, even if he brings us success, he's still not the right man to bring us success. We need someone else. I mean, that's crazy.
I think there are some people who, like I said, are at that point where, unless that happens, they're going to say shit. Let's win a trophy first. Let's get some trophies under our belt, under Ollie's belt as well. And hopefully we'll be able to push on from there, because I think the progress is clear. The progress in terms of numerically is clear, points and positions in the table. I think we look better against most big teams. We look harder to beat than we used to. We've got much more resilience, and we win games from being behind much more consistently. I just think we're a better team.
We're on 990.
Come on.
990.
10 more and we can go.
10 more. I've got 3 kids waiting to be fed. I'm not Jose Mourinho. I'm not Jose. Ollie wanted. He said didn't feed his kids.
In the boot of your car, aren't they?
Yeah.
Them 3 kids. They're not his, but they need feeding because they go quick, especially in the hot weather. Especially in the hot sun. They need feeding. Couple of pasties. Throw them through the back seat.
Producer counter, so at least it's not old women this time.
Well,
you always say
like
to bus, don't you? A lot about my pensions for looking after the elderly.
Looking after is the word. Yeah, call it what you like, lad. Call it what you like. Right, let's wrap it up there, shall we?
No, have we got 1,000 likes?
Yes, we have.
Have we? Thank you. Well done. We did it. Yeah, we've been live for 12 hours.
Get that Glazer on the phone.
Okay, well, we'll ring Avram. And give him a bit of stick. Thanks for all your support as always. Thanks for everyone that liked and shared. Make sure you hit that subscribe button as well, everyone who's watching. As I've kept saying throughout this video, we will have the lads' reaction to the Super League news. So we're going to have that up on the channel for us shortly. Sorry. Also, we'll have the reaction from Stephen House, the reaction from Andy Tate, and the reaction from Amanda McCullough to today's epic win over Burnley. We've broke our Old Trafford Premier League Burnley duck. Manchester United 3, Burnley 1. I've been Jay Moyer. That's been Joe Smith. Go and check him out, Joe Smith 93 on the socials. Thanks for watching.